to the examination engagement. It still has not been finalized. The reason it hasn't been finalized is that in order for us to issue a final report, there needs to be a letter of representation, which is essentially saying that you gave us all the information that we requested, and there's no fraud, and there's a whole list of things in that letter. It's an unusual situation because it was, I think it was in this public meeting that you requested. I know we had this conversation with Bill and Ken, but I think at this public meeting you also requested that we split this and representation letter between IDA and their piece and Continuum and Travis Bond's piece. And so we've done that. I know I had a preliminary conversation with Ken earlier, and there are a couple of concerns on the wording, and we'll be glad to work with you on that to come to a happy agreement. I don't know if Travis is going to sign his piece of it or not. And I've never been in a situation where somebody didn't sign the rep letter. I think what we would end up having to do is just issue a disclaimer opinion. And it's going down the road. I don't know if it really makes much difference now because it's been, as the state attorney said, since the draft was issued, the public meeting was discussed, and that's become public record. So you've already seen the report, you've already seen all the findings. So just to finalize it, I guess we would need to come to agreement that we're going to give the rep letter signed or we're not.
You want me to comment, Madam Chair? It's the normal practice for the rep letter to come out at the end of one of these. The initial draft that CLA had generated was their standard prototype rep letter where all of it was in one document. We had a meeting, like Mike said, Bill and Mike, Tricia may have been there, I don't recall. And we agreed that there were certain things in that letter that we couldn't agree to because it was things that had actually been done by Continuum. So we had provided all the documents, etc. So we agreed that the right way to handle it was to split it into two. So there's a document out there, a rep letter for Travis to sign, and there's one they're asking us to sign. As you are all aware, it's a very unique situation because the IDA never possessed the records. The records were provided directly from Continuum to Clifton Larson Allen, and as a result, there are still, as Mike mentioned, there's still a couple paragraphs that I take issue with as I think require modification as far as the language goes, and I think they're agreeable to that. We're going to continue to work on that. But what further makes the situation a little more difficult is that we're parties in litigation. And we're talking about representation letters. And so they're not going to issue the final report if Travis doesn't sign his. We could sign ours. Travis doesn't sign his, they're not going to issue the final report. Continuum's in the lawsuit. CLA's in the lawsuit. The IDA's in the lawsuit. And quite frankly, everyone's legal is looking at it and saying, why would we want to sign a letter that contains representations when we're in litigation? The draft report was generated. It's their opinion as to what, as far as the documents they reviewed, and it's out there. So I don't know where we'll go. All I can tell you is in good faith, I'll work with Mike and Tricia. We'll see if we can come to agreeable language. And when I get there and satisfied, quite honestly, I intend to email it over to Bert Harris and say, your lead counsel in litigation, you have objection to this being executed. And see what his opinion is. That's,
I think the main thing we want to do is just make sure everybody was aware that it hasn't been finalized, and that's the reason. So we can just.
It's a very unique circumstances with all the parties to the document are involved in litigation. So everyone is a little bit standoffish for obvious reasons.
Well, it is an unusual situation with ongoing litigation. Hopefully that will be over in December. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
And just for